Good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to start with the chapter number 3, that is Indian Constitution. And this chapter is from civics, as I told you very much earlier that we have the three parts in social science: history, geography, and civics. And so today we are going to start with the civics chapter, that is chapter number 3, Indian Constitution. Now, my dear students, we need to understand our Indian Constitution, our state, what is our country giving to us, different rules and regulations being given to us, the rights have been given to us by the country. So, basically in the textbook, the very first paragraph, it has been given to you a very nice thing over there, that a child is asking to her mother about the Sri Lanka and the World Cup, and they are telling that how this occurs and how you will come to know that the which party or the which whether if you are the World Cup is being played between India and Sri Lanka, who is going to win it. So that will be the question mark, and for that the arrangement has to be made. Some rules and regulations has to be made for the game. For each and every game, whether you play, you have to mention the rules and regulations, and then only we can move forward towards the game. So as now, then to run an administration for a populous nation means a very wide having population of a nation, we have to require and we have to frame certain rules and regulations for the people of our country. Rather than being India a democratic country, yes, we have to frame the rules and regulations for the country, right? So today we are going to start with it. We'll first see the first part, that is preamble of our constitution. You can just see in the textbook itself. Here also the logo of preamble is given to you very much clearly. The preamble means the systematic compilation of a set of rules to run the government of a country is known as the constitution of the country. That is the systematic compilation. Now, what do you mean by compilation? That is to gather, the process of gathering together the various information and through various sources for accomplishing the set of rules to run the government of a country, and that is known as a constitution of the country, right? So the different from various sources, you need to accomplish it, you need to gather it, and to frame the rules and regulations, and to the rules and regulations abide by the country to the citizens of India. Now the constitution can be in written and unwritten form, that can be in oral form, yes, but a written document is always a valid document, my dear students. So constitution, all the rules and regulations which are being framed, that is always in the documentary proof, and so it has to be in the written form. Our constitution start with the preamble. Yes, my dear students, our constitution, the constitution of India, starts with the preamble. Now, if your constitution is starting with the preamble, we need to see what our preamble is saying. We need to have a look over it, that what our preamble says. It's clearly mentioned over here. You can see in the picture, we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens. That means they have taken an oath. The people of India are resolved to constitute into a very sovereign, social, democratic, and republic, and to secure all the citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote them all, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, the 26th day of November 1949, the date has been given to you, but it has to be written in the word, so very clearly given to you. So do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. So this everything, the liberty of expression, the justice for the people, whether it can be a social or economical or political, the fraternity, that means the dignity of an individual, and the economic status of a person, everything has to be is clearly mentioned in the preamble of our India. And we start with the preamble of the constitution. Now the next part that it comes into our mind now and then, that how was the Constitution of India formed. Now we need to have a little bit stress on this question, that how was the Constitution of India formed. Basically there will be some leaders, yes, the students, you will get how the question in your mind, that how it will be formed. Without the person it is not possible. Yes, there were the prominent leaders, there were the great leaders with us who had have great efforts for drafting this Constitution of India for us, and many leaders have taken a very good efforts, and they have done their very hard work for forming this Constitution of India, right? You can just see the first, that is, the Constitution of India is a statement of national goals and aims such as democracy, socialism, secularism and national unity. The democracy, socialism, the secularism, everything, this has to be it is given to us very clearly about it. The secularism, we are going to understand the next topic over here. This is going to come in this chapter only, so I'm going to explain in detail over there. And the national unity, the universal brotherhood, that is the main thing for our country, that the nation should be united with each and every one. So this was the very first concept, that India, the main goal, the main aim was there to live an India with as one family. Yes, whether all people belonging to all the different religions and caste and creed, it should be have with one family. India should be a one family. It started working from 9th December 1946, and it comprised of many leaders that we can see. I told you the prominent leaders have taken a very great efforts for forming the Constitution of India, and so the prominent leaders that they have given the people who have started working over it, they are the Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, and also the constitution scholars like Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Kanhaiya Munshi were included in the Constitution of India. These people were there who have tremendously made great efforts for making India a successful country, for making India, for drafting proper rules for the citizens of India, so that the Indian people living in India, they may enjoy all the benefits and rights of it. There were female members like Sarojini Naidu and Vijayalakshmi Pandit. So these people have, for the female categories also, they have included in that. So they have also contributed their well-known knowledge behind this framing of the constitution. Then Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the Constitution Assembly. So he was one of the person, he was elected as the president of the Constitution of the Assembly, and he has tremendously have made a great efforts for, if he is elected as a president, the whole and sole decision he has to take it, and he has made India a very powerful and a great country over it by giving all the rights and duties to the Indian citizens, so that the people are without any discrimination of caste or creed. There were total 166 meetings were held by the Constitution Assembly in a time period of 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. On 26 November 1949, I told you that was in the preamble, 1949, the committee passed the constitution, which was enforced on 26 January 1950. 1950, and as you all know, 26th January is a Republic Day for us. So at that point of time, this constitution came into enforcement. So after passing all this different meetings and all the resolutions, the final preamble was being constituted by the different, tremendously working with the great leaders for us, right? Then we are going to see about the first thing, that is a democratic rule. Now, what do you mean by a democracy? What do you mean? Now, before that, I need to ask you one question, that why do we need a constitution? What if there is no constitution? No country can function without a constitution. Is it correct? Yes, my dear students. We need to have a good constitution, because in order to frame a good rules and regulations for the people of our country, the people should be very much aware about the rules and regulations, because to abide by the rules and regulations of our country, for the smooth working of a country, the constitution is needed. Then just have a question in your mind and just think over it, just ponder over it, that what if there is no constitution? If there were no constitution, you can imagine it, the prominent leaders, they haven't worked out about it, then can we enjoy the rights what we are enjoying it at presently? No, my dear students, we cannot enjoy the rights. We cannot enjoy the rights and duties which have been given by us from the constitution. Yes. So basically, that is the main important topic over here. We are going to discuss it, that the constitution have a very, very good impact for our country. But from having a very severe many objectives, is the documentary finally views with the ethos and ideals of our country, tells about the kind of government of our country would have. Now basically the question arises that how to run the administration of a country. Yeah, to administer a school, to administer your house, to administer your different workplace, it is going to be that easy, but it is going to be very much tough to administer the whole government, to administer the whole country, because to administer means to just check it out whether all the things are going it properly and to work on it, right? But to work for the country, but work for the government of the country, that is a very, very hard task, and that our prominent leaders has done for us, right? So we need we are enjoying the benefits of it now, and so by having features of our constitution for us, some different types of features which is here, that is a democratic rule, that India has adopted the democratic system of government. General elections are held in our country every 5 years. We all know that the general elections are being held for our country every 5 years. The elections are being held, and apart from being a democratic country, that is by the people, for the people, and of the people, yes, this everything, the India is a democratic country, as and now we are continuously saying. So we have given the rights and benefits of it. The citizens who are above the age, the 18 years, are eligible to cast their vote. That means the citizens who are 18 and or above, you can vote it. Yes, after, my dear students, when you will be attaining 18 years of your age, you can cast your vote. You can have voting rights to vote for the country, for a proper administrator, right, for a proper government of our country. Then the people all over the country play their role in electing the representatives. Any voter can cast their vote irrespective of his or her religion, caste, class or gender. So any people can vote, but the criteria is that a person should be 18 years or more. Whether about any caste or creed, or whether it can be male or a female, that doesn't matter, that it is not taken into consideration, but the only thing is taken into consideration that a person should be 18 years or above. Yes, So everybody in for our country has given us the full rights. Yes, for our country, the people we are given the full rights for voting for our country, whether it can be of any of the caste, creed, or any gender basis, right? Then the elected representatives rule for the 5 years that we all know. The one after casting a vote, of one final result is being given to us, and the elected who is being elected as a representative is being he will be working for that for the period of 5 years. Then every citizen enjoys the freedom to follow religion of his or her choice, as well as the freedom of speech, expression, and thoughts. So we all know that each and every citizens of our country, we are not abide by the rules. Yes, nobody is forcing us to adopt a certain religion, that no, you have to adopt this religion. No, we all are free, right? We all are free to adopt any religion, whether it can be of any caste or creed, whether his or her or everybody in our country. Everybody has been given freedom of speech or freedom of expression and thoughts, each and everything which is being useful for us from the country. That is the main basic thing included. So every citizen enjoys the rights and benefits and expression of speech. You can raise your voice, you can express your thoughts, your opinions toward the government for our country, and to for a proper forming of the government for our country. So this was a brief description about the democratic rule which our country needs it, and the rules, what are the rules basically needed for our country and what we are applying for it. Then comes, we'll just have the next thing, that is a secularism. Now my dear students, what do you mean by secularism? You can just see in the picture over here, the secularism. A secular nation means the government does not conform to the norms of any particular religion in its system of governance. That means you are not supposed that only some people, those who are following any other religion, are entitled to allow, and some people are only of this religion are entitled to vote. No, secularism. So that's why we the people of Indian citizen, we are telling that India is a secular country. Why we are telling? Because each and every religion persists over here. Each and every religion, each and every gender, everybody is working with one universal brotherhood. So basically India is a secular country. None of the people are forced to adopt the religion. Everybody is free to adopt the religion of their choice. So India is a secular country, and citizens are not discriminated on the basis of the faith, sect, or religion. So they are not discriminated, my dear students. In the country of India, the citizens of the people who are living in India, they are not being discriminated apart from the caste or creed. Everybody is treated equally with a universal brotherhood. And so India, the country, the various leaders have taken done a very hard work for making a country one family. Every citizen enjoys the right to follow and propagate the religion of his or her choice. I told you, yes, that each and every citizens of our country are enjoying and a right to follow their religion, own religion. People are not forced to follow that specific religion of your choice. You are free to follow the religion of your choice. Yes, we all are from different religions, my dear students. Yes, everybody is adopting their own religion, and that we should respect each and every religion of our choice, whether it can be all different religions for our country. And equal respect should be given to all the religions of our country, so as to maintain a universal brotherhood among ourselves. And so only we can make our India a perfect nation. Then we'll just see over it, my dear students, the republic. Now, what do you mean by republic? Republic means a government that obtains power from the people directly or indirectly. Yes, I told you, if to run an administration, you need to form different categories. You need to have a different block for all the people who are going to attain certain things, who will be in that position and who is going to work for that specific thing. So the republic, we have adopted a democratic republic system. As we all know, the democratic system means for religion of their choice, without the you are free to express your own choice and thought and expression. So we can freely tell that India is a democratic country, and so we have adopted a democratic republic system of government, which means powers are not limited in the hands of the privileged people. Rather, it is accessible to all the citizens irrespective of their caste, class, religion or gender. I told you that the powers are not in the hands of the limited people. That means the people who are working for it, they cannot force us to believe in that religion. You, the people of the country, we, the people of our own nation, are responsible to access means to accept all the religion of our choice without any compulsion, right? Then legislative, executive and judiciary are the organs of the government that we all know. The legislative, the member of the parliament assembly, the executive and the judicial departments for giving the social justice to the people. These everything are the different forms of the government. Legislator make laws. We all know that in the legislative assembly, the laws are being framed for the good of a country, for the good constitution of a country. The executive, with the help of civil services officers, that means the officers who will be working after framing the laws, the people who are the executives or at the officer level are working for the implementation, for the good progress of a nation, of a country. And the law and judiciary makes the people follow the law and does not work for providing, does the work of providing justice. So as we all know, that judicial system is very tough to give judiciary to abide by the law, rules and regulations, the law of the country, that as per that law we have to accept it, because our judiciary has given such laws for us, and so it gives us the justice. Yes, when we fight for justice, we are supposed to get a justice, because you can just see that if you see in any of the picture, or if you go to any of the judicial department, big statues there over in the courtroom or the boardroom, and with black tape over his eyes. That means, what does it suggest? That he is not seeing any of the biases of any, whether it can be of any religion. Justice is given to all the people who are in need of, right? So our judicial system is a very fine judicial system of a country, and we can say that people are receiving justice from the judicial system. Then we can have look over it over the here. We can see that the working of the central government and the state government, that the central whatever the central governments are being framing the laws, that will be final, and then it will be applicable to the state government also. So central government is it's a government for all over the country, whatever the rules and frames by the government, and then it applies the same to the state government. Different states are going to apply that laws. So the president is the head, and the different legislative and the executive and the judiciary. Then comes under the legislature, the parliament and the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. In the executive, that means in the legislative parliamentary assembly, there are the different two categories, that is Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. In the executive, that means I told, and the officer level, it comes the first, there is the prime minister, and under the prime minister there are the council of ministers dealing with different laws and to frame different rules and regulations for the country and for the smooth working of the country. And the judiciary, I told you, the Supreme Court, the higher authority of the court, where the final decision is being accepted, and we have to accept that decision, whatever is being given to us by the Supreme Court, right? So the state government, how the state government is being, there is a head of the state government, we can tell, is a governor, and under the government or governor also the legislative and the executive and the judiciary are there. So basically under the legislative, that is state legislative assemblies are there. We can say that as Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad. After, because in the central, all over India, the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are there. And if you come to the topic of the state government, where in the legislative post, you can have the legislative assembly, the Vidhan Sabha. In the executive level, in the central government, it was the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers were included in that. But here in the governor, the executive, the chief ministers and the Council of Ministers are to be included in that over there. And the local administration, the local level means at the rural levels, people that's who are living in the village areas, the head is being appointed for, and that we can call it in panchayat. Yes, panchayat and the municipal corporations or the municipal boards, different people who are living in the villages, the panchayat is formed there. Yes, the gram panchayats are there. So that is a proper the person who is appointed for that, the sarpanch is being appointed for the panchayat level. Basically, he is also an executive of that post, and the municipal corporation, which cities are being covered under the municipal corporation, that probable is going to be in the executive levels. And we all know the judiciary. I told you the first judiciary is the Supreme Court. Then under that comes the High Court. Under that, under the High Court comes the District Court, and under the District Court comes the subordinate courts, means the taluka level courts who are in the village areas. So if you come from upside to downside, the upside comes, the very first comes the Supreme Court, the second comes the High Court, the third comes the District Court, and the fourth comes the subordinate courts, and the fifth comes along with the subordinate courts. There are the various clauses like the local courts which are working in the rural areas, right? So I hope that you have understood this. The definition of the central government and the state government is very much good structure of the government. The parliament of our India has been given to us. You can just see in the textbook also, page number 16 is there, the Republic one. It's very good thing to know. Then we are going to see about, because the legislative powers is being given to us and the judiciary is given to us for giving us a good social justice for us. Yes. Now the next thing, there is a fundamental states and its fundamental rights. Federal state and its fundamental rights. So what is a federal? India is a federal states, and there is a distribution of subjects on which the central or the state government can frame the laws. India is a federal country, and we all know that certain laws have been framed for the central government and the state government as well. Yes, we will see over it here. That is there are the three union list. The first is the union list, second is the state list, and third is the concurrent list. So basically the union list, state list and concurrent list are there. These three lists are there. On this the laws has been framed, and as per that the central government, the state governments are working on it, and then we can come it to the final. So basically whatever the people of our country, for example, many people may be knowing it about it, the central government jobs and the state government jobs. How we can say that, how this is different, that there is a central government and state government? Because when a central government passes an order, it passes through the whole country. That means it is for the whole country, and then that order is being surpassed to the definitely surpassed to the. So I told you about the different union list and the concurrent list. The state, the laws that have been framed by the central government are applicable to the entire nation. That we all know. I told you that the laws which have been framed by the central government is totally applicable to the entire nation, but accordingly it comes to the state government, and then all the different states, the laws are being applied to it. So the central government is the head of the for a government where all the laws are being framed and are applicable to the entire nation or the entire country, right? Now we'll have look of what are the fundamental rights which our country has given to us, and which we are enjoying the rights of it. That is the fundamental rights of Indian citizens are provided by the Constitution of India, and that was adopted on 26th of November in the year 1949, but was put in use on 26th of January 1950. So it was definitely put in use in the year 26th January 1950. Why? Because I told you that already we have attained republic on that day, and so the formation that was adopted was done on 26 November 1949, but the rules, after framing the rules and regulations, the laws have been framed, it was enforced on 26 January 1950, and so we are celebrating 26 January every year as the Republic Day. The fundamental rights of the Indian citizen guarantee that the residents of the land can lead a peaceful life. I told you that the rights which have been given to the Indian citizens are the rights where there is a peace and prosperity and happiness for the country. Yes, the rules are being framed according to it for having a peaceful sense of brotherhood for a country. Some individual rights have been given. So the Indian citizens are the individual fundamental rights of the Indian citizens are most of the time similar to all the democratic countries, and we'll have a look over the individual rights of the Indian citizens are as follows. What are the individual right? A person specifically is going to get, yes, we are abide by all the rules and regulations of the country, but a specific individual, a person, what he is entitled to get a right. That means the first, there is equality before the law, that everybody should be treated equal. Nobody should be treated that one he is a higher caste or the lower caste. Everybody in the eyes of the law are equal. Freedom of religion, you are free to choose the religion of your choice. Nobody is being forcing you to adopt a religion, so everybody is free to have the religion of their choice. Freedom of association and peaceful assembly. The freedom of association, that means you are peacefully by framing the rules and regulations and the laws of the country, the peacefully the freedom has you have that freedom of framing an association by having a very peaceful assembly for the and framing the rules in the legislative assembly also, whether it can be in the parliamentary or it can be in Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha or the Vidhan Sabha. So basically everything going to be in a very peaceful manner. The freedom of speech and expression, what is your opinion and what are your expressions about the rules and regulations framed by the Constitution of India. So you have each and every right to speak and to express your thoughts on it. And the fifth one, that is the rights to constitution remedies for the protection of civil rights, that you yourself are having the rights of protecting the civil rights about it. That means the Indian judiciary is giving the great justice to us, and for that you need to speak for the entire nation. If the injustice is done to you, you need to fight and you need to get a justice by presenting a case in the judicial department, whether it can be of the High Court, the Supreme Courts or the different subordinate courts, right? So the constitution remedies for your protection, for your justice, you need to raise your voice among yourself, right? So my dear students, this was a very, very interesting chapter in my sense, because we the people of our country, we should come to know that the country which we are living, how many laws have been framed and what different laws have been enacted by the Constitution to us, and we are definitely following it in a very good manner. And as we all know that even today we are facing to the very global pandemic, all the warriors are working too much hard for making a country coronavirus free country now. Yes, so basically all the people, there is not being seen whether he is of any religion or a caste or a creed. Everybody is working for it, for the smooth working of the country, and especially for to decrease the coronavirus and to destroy the virus from the country. So each and every, whether it can be of any of the field, the medical field or the civil, the judicial department field or the police department, all the people, the warriors who are working for it, yes, the people who at all the levels are being treated equally. They are giving their best for destroying this virus for the country. And so basically that we can say from this that India is a democratic country where all the people are working together and having a one entire good free nation. So I hope, my dear students, that you enjoyed this chapter very much nicely, and you have understood it that in a very nice manner. Thank you, my dear students. I hope you have you are sitting with this. That is a great thing for us. You are listening to our explanation. Thank you, my dear students, and I'll be giving you even the question answers which will be in the workbook. Thank you and have a good day and stay safe.